Hey there, lunatics. Trying to get your hands on a whole bunch of mechanical parts or a whole bunch of corrupted alloy or maybe some relucite ore? Well, I have got the mob farm for you. Today we are making an automaton mob farm. Let's get started. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Right there. So, I just got a visit from the Time Cat today, and he coughed up a note saying that you wanted to host your own server for your favorite game but had no idea how to do it. Well, I have good news. Right now, if you click on the link in the description below, you can get 10% off your purchase of a gaming server from G Portal. Yes, the Time Cat has sold out, and he is now peddling gaming servers. But seriously, setting up a G Portal server is one of the easiest things you can do. It takes less than 5 minutes from creating your account to launching your new server. Help the Time Cat buy some snackies and a new bed so he can lay in the sun. Purchase your new G Portal server from the Madhouse for 10% off and help support a small channel in the process. Now, back to the video. So for this build, you're going to need one item collector, around 13 or so electrical wires, give or take a couple, some sort of power generator, I'm using a lowered one, around 1184 conveyor belts, around 1184 rust piles. Now I'm saying around that. We'll talk about some areas where this can vary in a minute. I'd say about 10 flame turrets. You could go with a little bit more if you want, but 10 should be enough to do the job. And then you're going to need a whole bunch of walls. I'm using the industrial blocks because they are currently the strongest wall in the game, but you can really use any wall that you want. And then finally, you're going to need a chest or a double chest of some kind. Now, real quick, I want to take a look at the spawn information for the automatons. Going over this chart here, it's going to zoom in and head down to the specific parts for the automatons and the rust pile. You'll see that their spawn rate is really, really low. If we fill every single tile in a spawn cell, all 256 tiles, we're only getting a 40% spawn chance for the first two big ones, and we get only a 92% spawn chance for the little crab guys. This means that I'm not going to be making the most efficient farm here, and the main reason for that is because of the amount of rust pile materials that you would need in order to truly optimize one of these kinds of farms. Now, I did a quick back of the napkin calculation, and you need close to 5,000 or so rust piles to do a farm of similar size to what I'm doing, but filling up every single spawn cell. And to me, that's just not practical enough. If you have the time and the resources to make this bigger, then I will briefly talk over what you can do to make this bigger, but I'm just making something that I feel is within a realistic range for most players. What you're going to want to do first is pick a spot, whether you're going to be going vertical or horizontal. In my case, I'm making a horizontal farm that's moving left to right here. And the spot that you want to pick will basically depend on how optimized you're trying to make things. If you are on console, then this is a little bit harder because it's a lot more difficult to see spawn cells. But if you're on PC, then you can use the web map tool, which I will try to have linked in the description, unless I forget. If I do, remind me in the comments. And the map tool looks like this, and it lets you see where all of your spawn cells are so that you can kind of control where exactly you're putting things. In the case of my farm, I've outlined it in this little rectangle here, and I am going to be in between two sets of cells heading all the way to the right here. This puts me in a total of 20 spawn cells. But again, if you're on console or you just don't want to actually deal with this kind of min-maxing your exact position, that's why I like to make these farms long, is because even if you're not exactly in the center or you're only hitting, the 10 spawn cells here, or maybe you're just barely entering the other 10 that we've got because you aren't, exactly in the middle, who cares? You're still going to get a whole lot of spawn because we are making this farm long enough that you're going to hit a whole bunch of spawn cells. And what I recommend you do is when you pick your starting point, like for me, it's here on the left, and then I go right, you're going to want to go right around 150 blocks or so. The furthest that you can go is 208 blocks. So I like to give myself a little bit of wiggle room. Make your farm as long as you want to make. This one is around 150. It's actually around like 147 to be more accurate. But I could go out a little bit further and get into another set of spawn cells if I wanted to and come out to around 175 blocks and I'd still be just fine. So you can customize your size a little bit to what matters the most for you. Now, if you do have the insane amount of rust pile resources, then you can figure out exactly where all of your spawn cells are and fill every single one of these square tiles with rust pile. And if you do that, you will create that more optimized farm that's going to give you a 40% spawn chance. I haven't done the math on the exact spawn chance I'm going to have with mine because I'm only filling up 4 rows of tiles per spawn cell, but it's definitely lower than 40%. However, I have found that for me, it's still good enough. So like I have done here, the first thing you're going to want to do is create a moat and dig out a line going around your entire farm. And the reason you're going to want to do this is because these automation robots will break walls. Now, they really struggle to break industrial blocks, and I actually haven't seen them break these really yet, but they can damage them. So if enough of them hit quick enough, they can break even the industrial blocks. But it's a lot harder for them to do so. However, industrial blocks are a lot harder to get your hands on. So that's why I say if you want to use a totally different block, you absolutely need to have a moat going around it, or these mobs will break through your farm and they will just run rampant everywhere. So starting on the outside part of the farm, you're going to place down your power source anywhere that you want along the edge. And then go ahead and grab your wires and place those going around, just coming up one into the little gap area that we have got here. Then come around the same way, going the other direction, and do the same until you've got this little C shape of wires. Then take your flame turrets, and I'm just going to go ahead right now and I'm going to skip one. Because you do want to put one right here, but it is going to power it immediately, and we need to be in here a little bit later doing stuff, and you don't want to light yourself on fire. So just for now, I'm just going to skip one, knowing that I'm going to put one back in here later. And then just place down 4 more turrets going to the right. Make sure that they are facing inward toward the farm. I didn't mention this earlier, but I have made my farm a total of 8 blocks wide. And the reason why I have my 8 blocks is because when I have these flame turrets both going, and I have it here and here, the turrets will connect, as these flame turrets can shoot a total of 5 tiles in front of them. So we have the gap, and then we have 4 more. And so this way there is no spot anywhere in this farm that cannot be hit by these flame turrets. So again, place your 4 up at the top that are facing into the farm. And I'm again just leaving my gap here so that they don't actually turn on. You could, of course, just remove the power source and accomplish the exact same thing and just put the power source in later. It's really up to you how you want to handle it. For me at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and cover all of this up. I'm just going to leave a space here so that I can take care of that turret later. And come around on the other side, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Just leave a gap and close these turrets off. And then I'm just going to wall in my entire farm. Once everything has been fully walled in, I'm just going to go ahead and take my item collector, and I'm going to turn the arrow so that it is facing in toward the farm. And then I'm just going to place it down right next to the wall so that its collecting area is going inside the farm. And then, of course, place down a chest or double chest directly behind the item collector so that all of the loot will go into the chest. Now we want to make sure that our conveyor belts move all of our loot into the collection zone. So I'm just going to go ahead and start placing some conveyor belts, and I'm going to make sure that everything from the conveyor belt point of view is heading in toward the loot area. All right, so this is pretty straightforward and easy. Now at this point we just need to place all the rest of our conveyor belts with all of them heading toward the loot zone. Just like this. Going down our entire internal area. Now the reason that I'm doing the conveyor belts before I'm doing the spawn tiles is because once the spawn starts, I don't want to be in here with any of those mobs. And this is a big farm. So I don't really want to risk being in here at all. If you are on PC, there is a mod that you can get called Placement Plus, which increases the size of placement that you can do for these kinds of tiles, including for spawn tiles. I highly recommend grabbing that, as it makes placement of all of this much, much quicker. Unfortunately, console users, you don't have access to that. But I'm not going to use it today, just so that you can see how it's done without any mods. Alright, now that all the conveyor belts are placed, now we are just placing down all of the spawn tiles underneath. And, you know, if you miss one or two spots here or there, since you can't see where you're placing, you know, that's okay. It's not really going to hurt anything. You just try to get as much of it as you can. And if it's easier for you, you can always just go down one tile at a time and just do it in rows. That way you can have a little bit more control and know exactly where you're placing things, even though you can't see the exact tile itself. And just place down all of your rust on every single tile that you can, everywhere in the entire farm. Alright, now at this point I have finished placing down all of my rust tiles, so I'm just going to place down my final flame turrets, powering everything up, and then sealing off the rooms with some walls behind them. And now at this point, the farm is completely set up, and we just wait. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to let this run for a couple of hours, and then we will see how much loot this farm can create. Okay, so it's been a couple of hours. Let's just go ahead and take a look and see what we have got so far. I mean, right now it's not a lot, but I can't complain about it. I mean, 41 corrupted alloy and 41 mechanical parts after only a couple, make that 43 mechanical parts after only a couple of hours. Really, this isn't bad considering how low the spawn rate is overall. These little rolly guys here, they're a little resistant. As you can tell by the fact that this guy's just kind of sitting here, their backwards movement is about the same speed as the forward movement of the conveyor belts, so it can sometimes be a pain in the butt to get these guys into the traps. If you wanted to spend more resources and you had it, you could add more flame traps or more relucite turrets so that you actually have a much larger kill zone. But this kill zone does function just fine. You will notice, though, if we go down the line here, there is, you know, a decent amount of these guys just kind of along the line that haven't made it all the way down yet. They will eventually make their way all the way down, especially since these little crab guys will slowly push them. But even the crab guys are surviving for a little ways, you know, in the far ends of the farm. So you could turn the entire thing into one giant kill zone if you wanted, to ensure that even these guys back here are taking their damage and getting properly farmed. But that's only if you have the resources to spare. They will all eventually make their way down into the kill zone. It's just these guys have decent momentum that keeps them out of it. So it does sometimes take a while to get them down here and get them properly torn apart. That's just one relatively easy, low-cost design. What kind of designs would you like to have for your mob farm? How do you like to set things up? And what kind of kill zones do you like to create?
please be sure to leave a comment with your design strategies in the comment section. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on all the fun stuff that we make here at Dakon's Madhouse. And if you feel like supporting the channel, we've got a whole range of membership options. Just check all that out in the description below. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay crazy, everybody.